Interesting. But let's talk about language. I want to talk about language because now we enter this whole big thing about language and talking. So we talk about color, we talk about light, we talk about sound. We talk about color, we talk about sound, and we talk about now we talk about language. So let's go back to the origin. What is language to you? You're very, very interested in very, very complex things about how certain words are formed. Like for me, and which also inspired me to also think about certain things like provocative. Like how like the word provocative is in itself, the sound that comes out or the way that it's written have those kinds of qualities that are very, very that also are generated from that are informed by what the meaning of the word is. Like the provocative, right? PR has a very, very aggressive sound. K has a very aggressive. The is a very and t. They're all this one whole thing of very, very confrontational kind of sound. But what about I am looking at from a designer's perspective, I'm looking at the words, the way that the word is formed. Like the R or the PR looks very aggressive. The V has a sharp point. The K, the T, all have these very, very edged angles.
Yeah, because there was that time, what you're referring to is that time where you said that provocative is a very the form of it is very, very aggressive. Right. Then how I heard it was what you said about the pronunciation.
Right.
The t. Yeah. Right. All that. But the way you saw it was from a visual point of view. Yeah. So
what if what we're looking at, right, in the word provocative, right, we're looking at the, like you said, the consonants, right, from the first thing you talk about, right, the consonants are the edges, and those kinds of like contrast sounds actually create that are able to define the meaning or like the tone of the word. You know what I mean? Like smell as a very like
but that's also because of connotation, like where you already have this
preconceived idea.
Yeah,
because of all the whole system runs like that. The whole
and maybe that's what makes us associate these V sounds as like something very aggressive.
Right. What other word is V? Prevent.
Love. It's like a humming, a humming kind of sound.
Interesting. How sounds and the way that you talk also associate in the mind.
Do you notice that vowels are usually round?
Yes.
Except for like
E. Right.
E because
very flat. It sounds very flat.
To me, it sounds really high and sharp.
Right.
Because of the overtones.
Right.
When you sing, once you get to the E vowel from the E.
No, but it's not we. It sounds like it's like flattening out.
Yeah, but to me, like the overtone is getting higher.
Right.
It's like.
So it's becoming sharp.
It's like one of those higher ones.
Right.
And do you notice that like also in like the Korean alphabet, the E sound is also like a straight line.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool. So then after that, we're looking at language as expressed as something that's generated from the body and something that's expressed in visual. Like so language is like the best or like a very, very interesting amalgamation or compression of ideas. Where there are two ways that is also projected, right? Where it's an idea that's projected through a visual form and an audio form. That's very interesting. How did humans even come up with written language?
Because the need to record things, maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
So from that point, right, now we don't have to write everything out. We have this kind of recording systems.
So is there any need for written language anymore?
Right. But I think it's also the way or like the speed of the way. But I think it becomes more like specific already. No, but you can't generate certain types of emotions because certain types of emotions only can be generated or encapsulated or recorded in like a book format. That's why people say like a video doesn't compare, or like the film doesn't compare to the book, because the book had a certain type of language or a certain type of tone.
Or like a textbook also. My bio textbook is like really hard to read out loud.
Right.
But like a different textbook, like an American textbook that I used to have to read, was much more story-like.
Right.
But
they had more of a narrative.
Yeah. more conversational.
Right.
But then like in the O-level textbook, it's like all just
Facts.
point.
Right.
Which is not very conversational,
Linear,
but
it's
it's
very
really
linear.
easy to study
Right.
when you're going into like
Right. You don't have to
Really again.
sift through all the information.
yeah, exactly.
Right. So what if we're looking at information?
Which is language, right?
Right. So there's different types of information that can be encapsulated by different media. So the media of talking right now.
But now we have this technology that allows us
Right.
to have a different media,
Right.
not all just written, but
Right.
also video,
Right.
so that
So consumption of media. There's so many there's so many ways that you've been informed by media. You've been watching a lot of videos, you've been reading a lot of books, you've been reading a lot of articles, you've been listening to stuff, right? There's so many things that inform people, or there's humans or as users, right? We're taking in so much information. Do you think there is a point of time where the user will be overloaded with too much media?
I think like people already being overloaded.
Saturated, right? So there's a saturation point. Because there's so many ideas going in your head. There's so many languages going in your head.
You'll never ever be able to finish.
Right.
And
there's so much being generated also. Right now we're also
also-
generating more.
Yeah, exactly. Adding to the mess. But like, it's also even designed in a way that like you're not supposed to have to get out of it. Like Facebook is like
Right.
just constantly
Infinity
Instagram,
scroll.
yeah, exactly.
Infinity scroll.
It's like designed in a way that you're supposed to get saturated and die.
Right.
Like, yeah, so
So, what if we're looking at lifestyle now? By learning how to turn off, unplug.
then go away.
Just unplug. Right?
How did we get here?
No, that's the whole idea that we just allow it to sprawl. It's a sprawl of ideas. It's like, in the end, right, even when you go outside, when you unplug or when you stop consuming media, you're still taking in media from the world. There's always stimuli.
But maybe a natural one.
So what is natural and organic content or ideas, and what is unorganic and artificial? We are looking at ideas as plastic and organic.
Instead of like you can compare two things with each other, like
Right.
having like a real conversation with
Right,
somebody,
right.
or having a digital
a
one.
pre-baked. It's like a meal. It's not like home cooked or like frozen. So this is like a version of a frozen version. Because it's just taking a bit of time, of this time that we're having right now, and then flattening it and then putting it in it and then being distributed through the different medias of like Spotify, YouTube, and Instagram.
But then why would you consider like reading a book being natural or unnatural?
Because it's a very, very physical. But at the same time, you can also call a phone a very physical media.
Exactly. But
I
why
think,
is
I
it that we
think
would?
there is maybe it's like the speed or like the amount of processing through the human, right? Before it's produced. Whether it's fast or slow. So maybe fast media is more unnatural and plastic, but whereas long format kind of books and some stuff that you can write and edit and reconstruct and build again, those are more organic.
But you mean edit as in like the amount of thought you put
Right,
into it?
the
But like a
density.
lot of people put a lot of thought into like
Films.
making Instagram stories or TikToks. Right. So you can't really say that that's something that's fast media has less editing and
Right.
less thought.
Right. Okay, I don't know.
The same way how you can like just write out
Right.
a lousy book.
Right. So what defines as
Natural
content? Maybe if it's human generated. So if it's human generated, then it's artificial, then it's plastic. But if it's natural in the world, then that's what you call natural input.
But it's like a book.
Or maybe it's experiential. One that you can physically experience and one that you cannot. Like a physical experience. Material. A material experience of ideas. And then after that it's another digital, where it's like pre-processed or has been filtered through a certain media. Right? A natural experience.
would be like having a walk or having a conversation maybe, right, it's like because they have been around for so long.
Right.
That's why people call them natural. And books, they've been around. But only now have like phones and computers been.
I think what we're looking at, right, is that when it's kind of like the way I do my design process. When I am going to do create a new project, right, or something like that, I am doing like I have to physically go down to the site and do some site research to feel the space, to be informed by the space. But I can't just read about the space because I have to be there to also have my own interpretation. So it's I think it's the amount of processing of an idea that also defines it, whether it's organic information or artificial plastic information, because it's been pre-processed, right? So because like a book this is already pre-processed, we already talked about it, it's already going through another media, then after it's pre-processed, but this is my interpretation of the world around me, right? It's kind of like news, right? There's things that actually happen there. You experience the news. Let's say you're the reporter and you actually see everything happening. But then after that, they filter it through themselves, and then it becomes plastic. And then after that, that's when it also informs the next set of ideas. And then after that, from that opinion or from that perspective, people also then take the head title or the subtitle or like read the text and then form their own opinion. Then after they write another post about what they see and what they inform and then what they see from other places. And then from this, it becomes more and more plastic. So that the further the iterations or like the breeds of certain ideas become so deformed. What do you use for the word for deformed or in genetics? Mutated, right? Where the ideas already become less and less real and more plastic.
Well, in that case, right, like it's actually quite like it can be like tied back to the start, like, where we thought of like colors and sound as like a range,
right?
A range of frequencies into right, instead of being everything grouped as these three colors, but like smaller groups,
right?
Maybe like what this thing about natural unnatural is like more a range,
right?
So
then what is truth in the end?
I use the same right.
Oh no!
What is truth in the end? So what
the
is
truth would be the most extreme,
right? Truth will be the most like defined or like the most specific like point of like the idea. You know, like on the range, you just like into like one pixel or like one infinity line.
Out of all the sounds, you choose one frequency
to represent that idea. Very interesting. Where now we're talking about information, and then from the information it becomes truth. So Isaac, what do you think we've been talking about in this whole like dialogue? Or what was the point of interest? How would you conclude this?
Well, at the start we talked about like frequencies and colors,
right.
And then at the end we were talking about information and like how it can be defined. So maybe today it's like about a lot of ranges, about spectrums, like cause everything you can't really define all the frequencies as a note on the piano because there are notes in between the piano, and colors can't be all green because there are light green and dark greens, right? So
what would you call this episode?
What would I call it?
Spectrums.
Yeah, maybe.
Spectrums. Systems and spectrums. Systems and spectrums. Soda. What a mouthful. Thank you guys so much for listening to 20 Minutes Tea today again. I hope that was very interesting for you guys. I was very personally interested in the whole development of the whole conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed it and learned something along the way. Thank you guys so much for listening. And what do I always say? Full hearts, big brains, and warm cuddles. So yeah.
Bye.
Bye.